Hi, I'm Roger from Holistiplan. Got two new things on scenario analysis I want to show you. First, these are both released recently. First is on the premium tax credit. We previously would calculate the estimated amount of credit coming to the client, accounting for any advance payments they received, but we were not calculating what happens if they got overpaid. How do you calculate the paying back to the government if you got too much credit? So I'll show an example here. $8,298 of credit that is owed to the client in this case. Let's say though that they got some big number, $20,000, okay? They're gonna have to pay some of that back. And the way it works, this is the thing that's new that's being calculated in the system. The way it works is there are certain cliffs associated with where you are as a percentage of the poverty line. And so in this case, based on where this particular client is, they have to pay back $1,600. And so you'll notice premium tax credit shows a 0 because there is in fact no credit. But if I go to other taxes, I will see that $1,600 right here. And I want to show you range calc because this is a great case of where that there's really a major noticeable cliff if you start to hit those barriers in terms of a percentage, 200%, 300%, 400% of the poverty line. So let's run range calc here. There's range calc. You can see major spikes. I think in this case, I'm hitting the 300% of the poverty line and then the 400% of the poverty line. What happens basically is when you hit 200 and 300, there's little blips of extra you have to pay back. And then once you hit 400% of the poverty line, you have to pay back the entirety of the difference between the calculated credit and what you received. And that's why this is so tall. I made it a huge overpayment of credit. So that's change number one. Change number two is going to be in the way we handle charity. So previously, and this is a thing that's kind of across the board with our system, is we read in a value like what is the total charity on Schedule A. But then when we're calculating the amount of charitable deduction in a scenario, there's more information we could try to capture. Where are they with relation to the different AGI limitations on charity? And we had these kind of dual systems. We have this in a number of places where the amount from the return is a single value. It's like an override, and then we have the amounts that are the calculated values. We've now moved to when you want to calculate charity, there's this modal. This is called a modal. It used to be called a pop-up, but it's called a modal now. And we have basically what are the amounts in each of these different categories. And if you took the CFP exam, you'll remember this, and you probably didn't have to deal with it again since then. But there are different limits as far as how much you can deduct based on the type of organization you give to and the type of property you give to the organization. Most of the time, what we're dealing with is cash to an organization that gives you the maximum amount of deduction. So that's this first line. I'm a little nervous about it not just saying like this is most examples of charity, but we put this thing and said most donations go here. So I put a relatively low AGI, so let me put a big number, $50,000 with respect to AGI, and it'll limit it. You see, it'll limit the amount of charity that can be deducted. So it's just a little data entry type change. There's not the concept of an override and data to enter, and you have to worry about that. So there's really just one place to enter charity, and that is right here in this modal. Most of the time, you'll just be putting data into this first field up top here. That's it. Those are the changes going on in scenario analysis. We have an actual entire overhaul of scenario analysis that's on the way. It's getting pretty close. There's some cosmetic changes, but then also some pretty useful functional changes that are long overdue. So stay tuned for that. Maybe next week or the week after, I'll kind of give a first look at the new, improved, more green all over the screen scenario analysis.